previously, but there's a movement where people take control of their finances, and they are able to even retire early. And some people as early as like in the 30s, when they are 30 years old, after just 10 years working, and they retire. How is that possible? People think of retirement and fire with these images, and everybody has a different idea. Some people is just to stay in the beach, sail. Others are to travel the world or do volunteering, do with their time what they want. And that is especially true in this last slide. Doing what you want on your own terms is one of the biggest benefits of financial independence, the so-called FU money. So that's the first step I'd like to talk with you in this workshop, is to start with why. Why would you want to reach fire? What do you want to do to that money is preventing you from doing, or work or time? What would you do if money was not an issue? You have to start with thinking about that, because being on the beach all the time, it sounds good, but it's not very good after a while. And you have to have goals and deciding what you do with your freedom. If we don't have the plan to reach this objective, it's very difficult to reach. Some people actually reach it because they either win the jackpot, or have a business that does very well, and they reach it without even thinking about it. But then without financial literacy, sometimes this you reach and then you spend too much and you lose it. And so you need to still be very aware of the financial implications of your decisions, even if there's no plan. But obviously, it's something that usually doesn't happen without a plan. Even with a plan, it's difficult. There are some steps you can do, and I'm here to help you with that. But it's still a lot of work to reach. And so, what I would like to have you think about is this first question in the workshop. What is your why to FI? Why would you like to be financially independent? Try to get a notebook and write. We have some more questions during this workshop, and brainstorm a bit about why you would like to reach financial independence, because that is a big part of then being able to fulfill a plan that we'll establish during this workshop. Let me see if I have some questions here. I have some questions. Any idea how to do that? We should gain financial freedom from online business and become a digital nomad. With digital nomads, one commonality here we have with financial independence movement is because people want to be free and work from anywhere, and it can definitely increase the speed to reach financial independence if you are able to work, for example, for a high-paying job remotely in a low-cost area. We'll go over the many steps of this project, but it accelerates definitely the possibilities. You have expense possibilities. Okay, then the second step I would like to show you is the follow your money, follow the money. And that is a strong idea in this movement, that you have to measure your money coming in, coming out, to then manage that and make it to optimize it to reach your goals. what gets measured gets managed, like Peter Drucker said. And so one of the tools that you have is to control everything you earn and everything you spend. So a personal financial statement, an income statement where you see all the different expenses and the revenues that you have, so that you can optimize them. If you don't track it, it will be very difficult to know. And usually people, when they start doing this job, this part, this task, they get surprised with how much they are spending in certain areas that they didn't even notice. They weren't valuing it enough for it to cost as much as it costs. So people get surprised, and it's a good thing that they can act on it, and so reduce usually costs in this area, more in the cost area, but also we'll discuss later in raising earnings. And most important, there's something that people usually don't do, and it has to start being done, because it's very important to reach financial independence. That is to track your net worth. And that is like a balance sheet. It's where you put your assets, what assets do you have, and what liabilities you have, and check the difference, and see if it's going the right way for financial independence, where obviously you have to get assets at a level that then generates income to pay for your expenses. That's the concept of financial independence: to have passive income that pays your expenses. And passive income means that you don't work for it. Money is working for you. So you have to know exactly how much you need to receive from these investments per month, so that you can target and get the plan and the number, and then it's much easier to act on it. In the FIRE movement, we base a lot on a number that is on a rule that is the 4% rule, that comes from a study using financial markets. So we'll go later to that, but equities and bonds and a diversified portfolio, how much you can withdraw from the portfolio without exhausting it. So there's this 4% rule, which is not a guarantee, but it's an approximation of a level that you can get from your assets, and live from your assets without extinguishing them, exhausting them. And so if we use this 4% rule, let's say you want to set up your target, your goal, and you need to know how much you need to be financially independent. How much would you require to live per month, to earn per month, so that you don't need to work, it pays your bills. So I have here a simple example with 1,000 euros per month. So we need 12,000 per year. Using the 4% rule, this is equivalent to multiplying by 25 times the amount. And if I have an asset of 300K, then if I get 4% a year from this asset, I get this 12,000. So 12,000, 1,000 per month. So this is equivalent. And for now, it's the most important to keep in mind. It obviously 4% is not fixed in stone, and you cannot. It's not guaranteed. We have interest rates much lower than that. The financial markets, you don't get this without risk, but it's an approximation in something that is important to get a number out there. So I suggest that you try to put a number for your target somewhere in your notebook, and you can think of it as a money that has to be financially independent, but you can also think of having half of your workday filled with passive income. The other half will still work, so you don't have so much, or you need multiple amounts of this because it's then within FIRE we have lean FIRE and fat FIRE, so different expenditures that people have. So you can do for your own situation. Then the third, let me see if I see some questions about this second step. Guess not. Let me go back to the third step. And third step is we call eyes on the ball and start moving. So we have to prepare. Now we have we decided why we want to be financially independent. You have a ballpark figure of what we need to earn to be there in that level, and now we got to start moving. And start moving. We have to start with the strong foundations for this. As Richard Branson said, the important thing is that you've got strong foundation before you start to try to save the world or help other people. So you have to set up here two things usually that we do before we even start investing significantly. First, we have to check our debts, our credits that we sometimes took on for certain expenditures, and try to pay them off, because expensive credits like credit cards or personal consumption, usually it's a much better investment to pay it off than to invest in anything. Obviously, post factum, we know that some investments paid huge returns that are higher than the interest rates on some credits, on personal finance credits. But usually these come with a lot of risk. So when you adjust for risk, the paying off, say 10% credit card debt, it's a much safer investment, and with a huge return. 10% is a very strong return than trying to risk it in the markets. So that is one part of the foundation, is try to get rid of the expensive debt. Usually you have some debt that you don't want to get rid of. It's debt that is connected with usually housing that you have to take on, and it has a low interest rate. So that one, it's probably not feasible to liquidate if you already started buying a house and you have that credit. And so this is a bit split between good credit and bad credit, and here the focus will be to start paying off the bad credit. The good credit is it can be later, or even continue using it if it's really good. And then the other part is the emergency fund. The emergency fund here, it's a big focus for digital nomads and people that have a variable income. You have to, usually it's recommended to have much more in emergency funds than people that work in a stable job because of the fluctuations in income. The emergency fund usually is 6 months to 12 months of expenses. So here again, very important, the second step of measuring what you spend your money on. You have to know that before having the emergency fund, because you need to know how much you spend a month on average, then to build the emergency fund. And here the emergency fund, you put in an asset that is very safe and very liquid. You can use it right away. It's not locked somewhere, and it doesn't have much risk. And so with this, you start to make progress towards your target, and then you can also start investing. Here I give an example of, and knowing it wouldn't be a personal finance presentation or workshop without some compounding, and give here the example of €100 a month investment in a world equity market, a simple investment. Since I was born in 76. And so you can see here the tremendous impact of compounding, because it would be 50,000 invested, which in a deposit in a bank account where most people have the money doesn't increase. Usually now it decreases with inflation. Here with this investment, it's multiplied by almost 11 times. It's not easy, and it's a very long time here, the investment, but consistently it's a return of 9.2. So it's a good number to know in terms of equity markets. A return of 9.2 is a strong return. It's the return for this 45-year period. And compare that with the credit cards that I was saying just before, to know that compounding can help you or hurt you. So if you pay these credit cards, it hurts you. If you invest, it can help you. Obviously, it's not easy. It's a simple investment, this one, but it's not easy because you'll see the markets collapsing from time to time, and you'll see your money halving. In this period, it halved twice. And it's never a nice emotional feeling to have your money disappearing like this. The last few years, we have had a very nice increase in the markets, and long term, it's what expected, but in the short term, you never know what the markets will do. This is more here to understand that compounding will help you a lot in this process of financial independence. It's not just saving. You have to start investing to be able to generate the returns that reach you the asset that you made the calculations before. And then this 4% rule that I discussed has to do with investing in the market. So you have to tolerate this risk and know about it to be able to get those returns. So now the question here after this third step is how many months worth of expenses do you have in your emergency fund? You have to think about it and see if you are already well covered, or you should continue to invest in this area. So, and here, very safe investments, low risk, high liquidity. But you should know how many expenses you have, and if the more variable your income is, the more months you should have in your emergency fund. The more stable your income is, the less months you can have in your emergency fund. Then there's also the protection level of protection that you have. You have a strong unemployment benefits, then you can have less in emergency funds. If you don't have any unemployment benefits, then you have to have more. So these are things that you have to consider. And then if you have debts, you should list all debts and have a table and control that together with it's part of the balance sheet issue. But if you list all your debts and order them by interest rates, usually you want to pay off the highest interest rate debts before the others, or you can choose more emotional, more psychological way to get rid of debts, that is the ones that have less amount due, to finish them off quickly and go to the next one and finish them off. And these are the two steps that the two foundations before you even start investing. Let me see. The questions are in the Q&A. Okay, sorry. Okay, so we have here some about investments we'll do later. Online business you recommend. Okay, also later about the online business. Any good application or tools to manage and follow your money? Well, I'm very basic here with Google Sheets or Excel. It's you don't have to do a very complicated thing. You just need to control each month the amounts. I hear You've Got a Budget is a very nice app. It has a cost, but also banks or neobanks, usually like Revolut or Moai here in Portugal, they split the costs by category, and it helps you optimize this process. But a simple Excel, Google Sheets, or even in a notepad, it's quite good. You just need to do it and set up a date for that every month. If I should write this up. And about the pensions, sorry, I didn't see these questions before. Do you think that pensions will actually still exist in 20, 30 years from now? I mean, also in the Western countries. Yes, I think pensions will exist, but there will be more to support you on the minimum. The minimums will continue to exist, and it's more or less going to be financed through taxes. So it's already starting here to be done like that. Some countries have transitioned to capitalization programs where you pay for your own pension, but most have not. So it will be more and more in the ones that haven't transitioned that you will be expecting just the minimum pension going forward. And so you should plan for your a complement to the pension, because it will be difficult to be as generous as before. Okay. Get back to the presentation. The fourth step I'd like to discuss with you is the automation, because we are not very good at consistency usually, and people start to they decide to go this path, like for example with diets and other ideas, other habits that people want to set up, and so people decide that I want to get control of my finances. And then for a while you are controlling, but then you start to sleep and not do some of the stuff. And so the most that you can automate, you should automate. And one major automation rule is the pay yourself first. So if you want to save and get assets to pay for your lifestyle, you should define a percentage of your income that you want to be automatically taken from your income and at least saved in a different bank account, or even better, saved and invested somewhere, so that it is out of your hands, and the level of savings that you decided goes without your intervention to investments. That's the most powerful way to have this system working for you. So what I was discussing about having your balance sheet, having your income and expenses and detailed per month. If you do this automation, you can disregard a bit that part, because you are already doing the saving part that you decided. Obviously, if you control the expenses and you can adjust them, it's even better because you can start increasing the savings rate. But at least you automate the some part of the savings, and you know that you are doing your part. Then you should also avoid uh, not paying your expenses and then getting fines and stuff like that. So if you can put direct debits for your expenses, recurrent expenses, the better, so that you don't have these issues. But then also have a list of all your subscriptions. We know that we have a lot of subscription services currently, and they happen because we get inertia and laziness, and we start subscribe to something and then keep it. And so this list is essential for you to validate if the subscription that you are doing is still worth the money or not, and you should be cutting or increasing the subscriptions that you really value. So this is a major control that we already had to do before, but currently more and more subscription services need this control. And then we should also automate two areas that are important. That is the impact area, the giving area. You can also automate, define a percentage, and automate that into a different account, so that then you can have impact with that money. And the fun money. So we don't want a road to financial independence that takes all the fun out of your life. Some people actually go too hard on the expenses and start with the Excel, and Excel controlling everything, and making all plans to be fired by this date or that date, and they almost forget to enjoy life. And so usually it's a good practice also to have this fun money also decided before, that I'm going to spend X amount on these things that I like, and automate that into a bank account that I then have to spend, because I want to spend guilt-free. So I know that I'm saving the percentage that I decided, automated. I know that I'm giving the percentage that I decided, and it's automated, and I'm spending in myself this amount, and everything is according to plan, and so guilt-free. This is a big part. And so for you to think about is how much are you going to pay yourself first? Have you decided a percentage of our income or amount that you want to apply for your future self? So the retirement part, and this can be retirement at the usual age or before, but obviously the percentage will be different, and I will go over that in a minute. But just think about how much are you currently doing, and if you are doing automation, great. If not, why if you should start an automating a transfer from your income, and what percentage. And then don't forget about these subscription services, and have a list, Google Sheet, an Excel spreadsheet, where you have all the list of all the services that you have, with the dates when they renew and the amounts, and checking if they still make sense for you. A trick that I usually do is stop the auto renewals, and so I have to decide every time to go maintain the subscription or not. And if I like the subscription, try to get the the yearly pricing because usually has an advantage. So renew for a year and then remove the auto renew. It's something that I usually do with Trick. Let me check here. See everything about here checking here the questions. Q&A. Anything about this part of automation? What do you use? Okay, it's here a website I don't know about, but seems nice. Trackmysubs.com. Have to check this out. The 6 account model. Well, I don't know exactly the 6 account model, but it's a good idea to split between many accounts and budget accordingly for the most important areas of your life. Okay, let me get back to the part where we try to avoid lifestyle creep. So here, usually, I've already discussed a bit this idea. It's like Ramit Sethi says, spend extravagantly on the things you love and costs mercilessly on the things you don't. So we don't want to go through life to reach fire just to reach it and then have a hell between now and fire and just value the goal. We want to value the process, and we can save with intelligence in many things if you do the second step of analyzing the costs and spend on things that you really value. You can avoid this lifestyle creep and be able to save. You also, when you have this mindset of the saving is for me in the future and it's like the pay yourself first, then the saving means freedom in the future, then it's much easier to do conscious purchases now, today, because you have something to oppose it. Many people don't have this concept. The general concept in society currently is to spend your paycheck. So if I earn 1,000, I spend 1,000. If I earn 2,000, I spend 2,000. And if I earn 5,000, I spend 5,000. And it just, the more you earn, the more you spend, and you never think about the future. So here you have always something to think about, the opportunity cost of spending, which is not being able to save, and so being able to retire earlier, the freedom that it provides. And that makes you be a much more conscious spender and consumer. And that is also very important in terms of the environmental issues with the planet and the strain on the planet because of overconsumption. If you can avoid waste, avoid this idea of spending everything you earn, then you are helping yourself and helping also the planet in terms of sustainability. And because you spend on the things you love, it's you are able to enjoy the process. So it is possible not be a very big restriction on your life to be saving. Usually people look at saving as a restriction, but it fits conscious. It's usually not. And I told you before that the percentage of saving is important for here to reach financial independence. And there's a website, diversify, and this is I got this website from the blog Mr. Money Mustache, which is one of the recommended blogs for the movement the FIRE movement. And you can see here the savings rate below, all the way to 90, and years for retirement all the way to 90. And in this case, the current savings rate in this chart is 60% because it's what I think Mr. Mani Mustache was between 60 and 70% saving. And so he retired in more or less 10 years. But the usual, which is here, United States, Germany, France, this is the current saving rate and the years to retirement. So as in Germany, around 12%, and in 50 years you would be able to retire. So if you decide in your budget to put 20%, you know that in 40 years you will be able to retire. This assumes that you don't have a public pension. But here, the more you increase, the faster you get to retirement, obviously. And so you have here a calculator to do some simulations of what you think it would be a good idea in terms of saving to get some years out of your retirement to be able to retire earlier. And people think about financial independence usually in terms of the investment income, how much they need to get, and usually try to reach for the stars in terms of risk and return. And the most important number for financial independence is the savings rate. If you are able to live with less, it's much easier to reach the level. And when you start, you don't have a big pie of money to invest. So you can grow that with your savings much faster than with the returns. Then after a while, the returns are very important. But usually people at the beginning, they focus on the returns when they don't have a big pile of money to invest. And so they should focus on the savings rate. And here it's an image from Your Money or Your Life, the book that is also very important in the FIRE movement, and showing what you should track that you were discussing before. And here it's the monthly expenses, the income, and the split is saved, which goes to assets that then produce investment income. And the investment income, then it's growing. And at some point, we reach what is the goal here, the crossover point, which is where your monthly investment income pays all of your expenses. Obviously, if my expenses are higher, I'll have to have much more assets producing income to pay those. So it will be more difficult. If they are lower, much easier. So the crossover point is something that everybody should consider in this path to FIRE. So how much are you saving? The idea is to think about how long it will be until you retire. Should check that in the calculators. And do you think you can save more to reach that level sooner? These are some ideas to think about. Okay, see here the questions. Okay, track my subs. Okay, here's a good question. Should we bother to invest in pension retirement funds if we are aiming for early retirement? Here, we tend to plan for early retirement, but also retirement. So we can do both, because some funds then will withdraw earlier and some funds later. But we want to, usually when you invest in pensions or retirement funds that have certain benefits, you cannot withdraw them earlier without penalties or some issues. Normally they are more fixed, but you are expecting to reach that age. So with planning, you should use both, especially when these funds have nice benefits attached to it. If, for example, there's a company matching program, then it makes sense to use them, even if you're not going to withdraw everything before the retirement age. Because if you are retiring with this, for example, the 4% rule, you just need to withdraw that part. So we have to have assets from both types. And if assets with the retirement funds are benefited in terms of taxes, in terms of being other people contributing to it, like the company match, then it will be a good idea to take use. Then crypto we'll discuss later. Okay. So now we go to the part of the investments, and you want to make your money work for you, because as we discussed before, currently the interest rates are terribly low, and they don't generate any income for you. So you have to learn to invest to get more bang for your buck and help you in this path. The first thing is that what you have to invest before is in knowledge, because that will multiply through all investments. And as Benjamin Franklin says, it pays the best interest. You should try to learn a bit about investments. Obviously, some people like this area, enjoy learning about it. Some people less. So it can't be the same for everyone, but at least a minimum knowledge, and trying to get, let's say, for example, a personal finance book a year. It's important so that this area of life doesn't get neglected and then impacts negatively the others. So first, it's important to learn about investments. And then there are many types of investments that you can choose from. Some of them are here in the slides. Equities, so companies that you see operating, and you can buy shares in those companies and be an owner of the company. It's one area that I personally enjoy a lot, because equities have been the best performing asset class for a while, and you have a lot of history on the markets, what they do, a lot of events happened already, and how they reacted. You know more or less the crises that were in the past. You don't know the future. You know the volatilities. People are a bit afraid of the volatility, but when you invest long term, you get the volatility on your side. It's the volatility that pays higher returns, and I like the concept of transforming consumers into owners or investors in the company. So many companies, you know the products, you use them, or they are competitors, and you value them. You say you see the benefits, and then if you do a financial analysis of the companies, of the equities, you can validate or invalidate them as good investments. But it's a good process to start thinking about these brands and companies as owners and not as consumers. And then you have the funds that are managed. So the equities, usually if it's you want to invest by yourself and buy the stocks, and the funds, if you want to have less hands-on approach and you want someone to invest for you, you have funds that do the diversification for you, to do the choosing. the companies or the bonds or everything you can put in a fund. Then you have other areas like peer-to-peer that appeared recently, and due to technology, due to the financial markets evolution, they are alternatives. Some people like to see an income, a constant income in their account, but it has also a lot of risk. It's much less known because it's much recent, and it has big credit risk, big platform risk. So you should be careful, but it's an area you can learn. You have the pension funds that we were discussing before. So these ones usually have tax benefits, and some companies contribute to them, and you get some extra returns without risk because of that. Then a huge part of the movement is with real estate, because some people really enjoy the process of buying a house, renovating it, putting it on the market, collecting rent, dealing with the tenants. Some people hate it. So, but real estate is also an area that has a big track record. We have lots of data on the past of what happened, and is being used for a long time to generate more or less passive income. You have different areas of real estate. It can be more active or more passive depending on the approach, but it is an area that many people take to reach fire. And you have here in real estate a big plus for some people is the leverage that they can apply. So the bank puts a lot of the money in the investment, and you just put part of it, so you get a lot of leverage. It has also a lot of risk, so you have to know what you're doing. As everything, bonds is an area that currently is it's always more for stability than for growth. Currently, bonds have very low interest rates, or if they are very risky investments, lending to risky companies or risky countries, then there's more yield but a lot of risk. So you should know what you're doing. You have ETFs have been growing a lot, so exchange traded funds and index funds, where it's exchange traded funds is a mix of equity and funds. So it's trades like an equity in a stock market, and is a fund. So it's diversified, and it trades on a public market. You have here several alternatives. They are growing hugely, and it's very cost effective to invest with ETFs. And then we have crypto, which has been huge in the last decade, with new types of crypto being developed every year, or very fast. So from the Bitcoin that is more or less like digital gold, to the more Ethereums that is more to developed projects, or currently the DeFi movement, where you have alternative finance system where you get interest rates from these crypto assets. You have a lot to explore, a lot of risk, and it can be huge source of growth, but huge source of risk also. So here with investments, you always have to think that you have to know your risk profile and know what type of risk you can tolerate and what type you cannot. And for fire, obviously, we want to go for the more tested types of investments, even though we can diversify a bit into the more risky and newer types to get extra returns and not risk a lot of our portfolio. But most of it should be in a more stable environment, in my opinion. But it depends on your risk profile, obviously. Here, the idea is to get to know what you can lose. So you will always have to go into investments knowing what is the worst case that can happen, to be prepared for it, because usually things are not as good as they have been the last year. So last years have been tremendously strong for markets, all of these, more or less. And you have to know that there is risk going to come in your lifetime when you're investing for a long time of long periods. And so it's important to be diversified and know how much you can tolerate. What's your sleeping point? Usually sleeping point is an important concept in finance. It's how much you can tolerate without waking up and feeling stressed about your investments. We have no guarantee here with the investments. You are going off guaranteed products, because guaranteed products won't get you to fire, or you have to have huge earnings and saving a lot to be able to do that. So you have to use the tools of diversification with being wise with diversification. In terms of impact, also, we have had several developments in the last few years, especially with green bonds, for example, being more and more traded and new bonds to the market. But as is the issue with most bonds, green bonds are with very low yields, so interest rates are very low that area. ESG funds also, I don't know if you are aware, but there are funds that are environmental, social, and governance screened. So it's an area that is being growing in finance strongly in the last years, where you can buy funds that are ESG screened or ETFs that are ESG screened, and you might not agree with the screening, which is always a problem. But they try to exclude companies that have bad impact in the world, in any of the areas, environmental, social, or governance, or value highly the ones that are best practices. So there's a push in finance to get more assets to the ones that are doing better in that area. And actually, the performance of these ESG funds has been quite good. It doesn't imply that it will be always like that, but the current environment is that one. Let's see if I have here some questions about yeah, gold. I didn't put there, but yeah, gold is also an area, an asset, a commodity that can hedge the risk. So usually you use gold to because gold tends to perform well when equities are doing poorly. When central banks are printing money, usually it's there's a risk of inflation, and gold is a bit of an edge against that. And so in a diversified portfolio, you can have gold. But gold is also very risky in terms of volatility, in terms of it can lose value very fast and gain value very fast. So it's very volatile. And you should not have a lot of assets in gold, but it can be used to diversify. It doesn't have an intrinsic value. It doesn't generate dividends or interest rate or interest like other assets. And some people don't like gold because of that. But it can diversify the portfolio, and many famous investors like Ray Dalio, for example, use it in their portfolios to diversify risk. Jordan is asking here, EG funds. It was ESG, so it's funds that have criteria regarding environmental, social, and governance. Governance is the rulings of the company, so the directors, the pay of the executives, and the bonuses and stuff like that, the diversity of the board, and so it's funds where analysts are financial analysts that look not only at the financial metrics of the companies, but also at these metrics. Environmental, usually it's the impact, the consumption, the power consumption, the CO2 emissions, the water consumption, what companies are doing in this area, how they are reducing their impact on the environment, and they rank companies by that. And then there is social, which is also regarding the workers and the diversity, and then governance, which is the rulings of the company, how they manage themselves. And these funds, they can exclude certain companies because they don't meet the criteria, or they can weight more the companies that are better in that area. So it's a movement that is gaining traction, and for it's already a few years, and you can buy funds that have these screenings. Gold. Any learning programs for stocks that is easy and practical that would recommend? Okay. And trading. Okay, so for stocks, we have now huge. It's appearing a lot of people doing YouTube channels and groups, and it's very risky because some people are very new to the investing and they start teaching, but there are also a lot of professors of finance with courses. For example, I like Damodaran. I can then put here the link if someone knows, could put. Professor Damodaran has a lot of courses online. It's from the New York Stern University. And there are also courses in Coursera, for example, from Schiller. And so there are many courses about investing that you can do for free online. There's here some Yannick is saying about the bogleheads, low cost easy investing. Exactly, there are groups for investing, and I think I had here some ideas. Let me put. Okay, so to invest, I had some to read books, and here in Financial Independence, I would definitely advise to read the blog of Mr. Money Mustache, the book Your Money or a Life that I already showed some parts. It's one of the core books of the movement. Rich Dad Poor Dad, it's always in personal finance. It's great to wake up for this area. The Richest Man in Babylon, it's very interesting also. It's very old but current book. In terms of actual investments, The Intelligent Investor is great. It's one of the best books about investing ever written. It's by the teacher of Warren Buffett, so it's Benjamin Graham, and it's a book from 1947, but it's a great book about the philosophy behind investing, and I highly recommend it. Howard Marks, The Most Important Thing, highly recommended also. And then the groups that you're talking, the Bogleheads, we have the Fire. It's more for Portuguese. We have a Portuguese Fire group, and there's financial literacy group also. The podcasts, we also have a podcast, and there's a Fire Europe podcast that is recommended, the Mad Scientist also. And then here, the courses that I was saying about from Damodaran and Schiller, and many others. And then also professional help, so you can help get also advisors to help you with your investments. Obviously, is an area that is then has costs, but it's also a possibility for people that don't have so much time, don't want to take so long to learn how to invest. Okay, and then the seventh step, and it could also be the first one. So this is the steps. Obviously, you can start in any one of them, and here you want to increase your income. So if you want to save, if you want to be able to grow assets to then pay for your expenses, it should be it's very important to increase your income, and it's very difficult, obviously. So the idea is that you don't want to work your, like Warren Buffett says, you have to make money while you sleep. So this is the concept of passive income that should be a target for you to at least try to think about ways to monetize your knowledge and what you can do in a way that doesn't require so much input of your time. So to split getting money from spending time, so that you can give value to other people, to add value to your job in a way that doesn't require to add time. So that is the most important concept. And obviously here, if you are working somewhere, you have the possibility to discuss with your team and your bosses to what you can do extra to give more value, so that then you can get more from your job. And that is Hamid Sethi, that I quoted before, has huge many resources about that, about discussing the raise and putting targets and making yourself more valuable. So getting training in areas that you are currently not doing and thinking about it, so that you can get a raise on your price per hour. And especially try to think about ways to build digital products that you don't have to input work every time you are getting to be paid. So it gets recurrent revenue without you having to work as much. And obviously the financial income. So if you, many people get income from one source, that is the job, and they need to, at least it's much better to be diversified in terms of income streams. One part is the financial income stream. So if you learn about stocks and bonds and ETFs and funds and start investing there and getting the income back from those investments, then it's already another source. You can also get from rental. So if it's an area that you like, a hobby, you like after work, go look at some houses and start to invest in real estate. It also diversifies your income. Many people do that, and then they start getting the rental income and multiplying it until they don't need the job anymore. They got the rental income, but it's you are a bit forced to be in that place, or have issues delegating everything. And then other side hustles that you can think of. Many people in the FIRE community try to monetize their hobbies, their passions, so that they enjoy these extra hours. They would probably do it anyway, and they can get an extra income out of them, which is adding a good thing to something that they already like. Then there's always the royalties if you write a book or music. There are many ways to diversify income, and it's important because it diversifies risk and increases your income streams, and you are able to save more and then put the snowball rolling until it's a huge avalanche. So here is another task to think about ways to increase and diversify your income. It's not always easy, but you should put your mind to it and increase this training. It's like a muscle that you train. Let me see here the questions. So this is the part where it goes again. So you increase your income. Here with FIRE, we want to increase our income, reduce our expenses, take what's in the middle, invest, save, and invest. And this investment will generate extra return until we can let go of the work income stream and our FIRE. So that's the idea in a very simplified way. With these 7 steps, it's a bit more detailed, but obviously there's a lot of work to be done, and it's like a bit telling someone to get fit. It's easy. You work out every day and you eat less calories than you spend, and you'll be probably fit, but not many people do it. So let me get back. Sum up. This is a template for a goal that we discussed in step number 1, your why to FI, and you should have a plan for it. And let's say you start with this. I want to be financial free too, and put your why, what you want to do. Volunteering, travel the world, be more time with your family, work in what you want, when you want, with who you want, and you have to set a date. So this is that rule of the goal setting. They have to be smart, right? Smart goals, right? To reach that goal, my goal is to live on. So this is making the 4% rule work for you and have a number to target. How much do you want to get per month? How much are we withdrawing? If you are more conservative, you can withdraw, make the calculations to withdraw only 3% from your assets, so or 4%, which is the standard rule. So we can define here the amounts. And to reach those goals, I will measure my progress monthly. So you have to schedule time to see if you're going in the right direction. What gets measured gets managed. Very important. Then I'll have to increase my income. At least try. And if you have ideas, great, set it up in this document. I need to reduce my expenses, or at least don't increase with the increase of the income. So also some ideas to reduce expenses. And then I want to save and invest the difference. And it's better to have a commitment. At least I'll save X amount going forward to start in this process. Then the investments. I'll invest in knowledge so that my knowledge makes me earn more, and use compounding to reach my goal. So never forget about the power of compounding. It starts small. You are not looking at it. It doesn't show anything at the beginning when you compound, but at some point it's huge. huge. And so start investing. This is usually the most important part with these financial literacy initiatives is people are not investing, they should start. Even if it's not the perfect investment, people shouldn't be stuck looking and looking and looking for the perfect investment when the most important is to start. And then you have to be prepared to be setbacks and difficulties. It's not easy, otherwise everybody would do it. But you have to have the capacity to persist and continue and learn from the setbacks and difficulties to the path in the path to financial freedom. Just a bonus. Since I'm Portuguese and Portugal is a great place for digital nomads, I guess you already know, but Portugal ranks very highly in the nomad list, and here it's just a screen for Lisbon. Sorry. We have also a special non-habitual resident tax system, which we didn't discuss much in the previous slides, but one of the costs that everybody has is the taxes. And if you can legally minimize taxes, you are having a huge advantage. And so besides having a great security in Portugal, great weather, great people, culture, and also low cost of living compared to many countries, we have a system for people that haven't been tax residents in Portugal for the last 5 years, and it can be also Portuguese working abroad, to come to Portugal and be 10 years without paying taxes on worldwide income and just paying taxes on the Portuguese income. And the Portuguese income in highly valued jobs, which there's a list, the tax is only 20%. We here in Portugal, people that live in Portugal and are regular residents, they can pay 50%. But in this program, for people that haven't been tax residents here and coming to Portugal, the tax is 20%. So it's a big advantage. And so this is a bonus for the resident non-habitual resident program in Portugal. Let me see here the questions. Just to finish here the presentation, then I'll take the questions only. Here's the Fire Talks Portugal. So this is in Portuguese, so it's more for Portuguese people. But there are probably, you can find podcasts about FIRE, financial independence. There are a lot of podcasts in English also that you can listen to. Sorry, let me take this. Okay, let's look at the Q&A. Anak is saying that in India we have SGBs, sovereign gold bonds, which generate 2.5% interest annually by Reserve Bank of India, but they have minimum 5 years lock-in period. Okay, so here you have some income of gold products, gold-derived products. Here it's more like the Indian government paying you the interest, and it's backed by gold. It's not exactly an investment in gold, it's more investment in India bonds that is backed by gold, just to reduce the risk. I guess this 2.5% is not from back of the hand envelope, the numbers.
It's 9 o'clock.
It's not that high, but currently interest rates on sovereign bonds are low everywhere. Okay, so Tabitha is also asking a way to invest in equity or stocks as an American based in Germany. There's a big problem for Americans investing because of FATCA, and it's difficult to invest. Some brokers or funds don't accept because of all the bureaucracy that is needed when there's an American investing. So you have to probably keep investing in the US brokers. Anak is also asking if should we do 100% do-it-yourself investing or appoint someone to manage our entire portfolio. So here is a very personal decision that you have to do, because if you do it yourself, obviously it will be cheaper, but it can cost you in investment mistakes the amount that you are paying the advisor or the fund or the cost of the fund. So you can do both. Some people prefer one or the other, and it's not it's not possible to give a correct idea. It depends. If you trust the person that you are handing the money, they can even generate extra income that pays the expense or not. So it has to be a well thought out decision. And obviously, if you do it yourself, you have to take into account the amount of hours that will cost you to learn and to be on top of things. Many people think that they will do it and then they don't, and it's much worse to be do it or yourself and then have the money left in the bank account because I didn't have time to buy the stocks, buy the ETFs, invest in the fund. I didn't do it. It would have been much better to take that amount to someone that will definitely do it because it's their job, and they can act also like an accountability partner for people that are more disorganized with their finances. So it depends. It's like with health and fitness. You can also do all the exercises yourself, or you can have a personal trainer that forces you to be on track. Jorin, do you want to join?
I don't want to join. I just want to. You had almost 1.5 hours right now, and I guess this is a topic that can go on forever and ever. And before you fall off the chair. No, I mean, definitely. So we don't have any other talk after here. We will have a little, official, this event is over and so on, but of course we can still stay here and we can also go on talking about, the questions. If you still stay here, I don't know if you intend to stay a little bit longer. We can stay in the networking area, but I'm just wanted
to go with the program. I wasn't aware that I took already the the whole time. So
no matter. I mean, if you have a few things left, just finish them. Okay, easy, because there's nothing following after that. Okay.
No, it's better to stop. Then it's okay. I want to thank everyone that was listening in a Saturday afternoon to financial independence and these topics. And I'll pass the emission to you.
Great, thank you so much. People already giving kudos all over. Great, yeah. And no, Luis, thank you so much for having been part of this Friday Nomad Summit, which is now coming to an end. And we had today, oh my God, what did we have? Goal setting. We had the marketing. We had the financial freedom. We had, oh my God, I don't remember it anymore. My head is exploding, and I'm like, oh shit. So what am I supposed to do right now? And
No,
I think financial education is something that's, I mean, at least as I grew up, it was totally missing, and it was just only in the last years when I, found out about my money mindset, which was pretty not so great, and well, for example, for myself, I found out like, well, I had a quite negative mindset, and money was bad and so on. And I first had to, well, discover that and then slowly change it into, well, it is okay to invest. It is okay to earn money. It is okay to have more money than other people because whatever. And so I think that it is a huge topic. And I also think there's a lot of fear involved. Um, that, okay, the state will not pay my pension anymore. I can lose my money. What means, and then I find it very important. What does money mean to you? And so on. So there's a lot of things to talk about. Is it security? Is it that I want to show off in front of other people? Is it giving me, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, money is a bit of a taboo issue also, like
Yes.
several others, but money definitely is. People don't talk about it, and usually is a negative connotation. Obviously, if you use money for good, it can be a very good connotation, but you usually discuss more the negative parts of money, the financial scandals and greed but it's a bit like you see the markets that you know a lot about the crisis. There was this crisis in this year and that crisis in that year, and then it's not reported on the growth of the market long term, and that we are currently in a new highs, and money can have a tremendous impact in the world. That is not advertised, so usually it's the negative part that is coming in the news, and that gives money a bad rep. But money is just a means of exchange, and you can do good things with it or bad things with it, and hopefully we do good things with it.
It is a tool, and it's the matter of how we use that tool. It's like a hammer. Hammer is a hammer, and I can put a nail in the wall, or I can smash your head, right?
Yes, exactly.
In a way. And it's true also what you said, that money has some like bad connotation. You don't talk about it. That depends a little bit on the culture. I think I'm from Germany. Same thing. I never knew what my father earned, right? In America, I think they're more open about just like, oh, what do you earn? Yeah, fine. What do you earn?
Yeah.
So that's definitely also a cultural thing, but it is definitely always a delicate topic, And
True.
I only had recently that I also learned, like, some people that I've met, they just talk about money like as if it was about talking the weather. I was like, wow, okay, fine.
Yeah. It's
Right. Okay, cool.
okay.
That's sad. Exactly, that's sad. Again, your official applause here. Give it a last big one for Luis, who was giving us some insights and I think some valuable information about financial freedom in 7 steps. And yeah, if you're more interested into that, let me see here in the Q&A. Guys, I would say let's have a wrap up of our Thriving Nomads team first. Let me quickly check if everybody is on top here. Okay. And then, right. So where's my team right now? Can everybody come? Yeah.
So I'll leave now. I don't know.
I would say wait
for the team. João.
Yeah, João is also coming in here.
All right. So yes, you can leave. Let's close up the session, and then we'll do our final wrap up.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Thanks, Luis. Thanks, everyone.
Do I leave? Me.